Hi, favorite teacher. I'm Tori from Next Day Teaching, where I give you classroom management tips and strategies that you can use tomorrow. Today, I want to share my all-time favorite critical thinking activity to do with students. Now, first, a disclaimer. I will be putting some links in the description, but they're affiliate links. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. But I want you to know that I only recommend resources that I have personally tested in the classroom, as you'll see here. My all-time favorite critical thinking activity is called Perplexors. So with all of that out of the way, let's solve a perplexor. I always start by reading the story. This is called Star Pigs, by the way. Gail, Greg, George, Gordon, and Greta decided to teach their pet pigs to dance and have them appear on Stars of Tomorrow. Their cute pigs were named Bubba, Porchetta, Chopley, Hamlet, and Loinzer. They each performed a different dance. The dances were the polka, the waltz, the foxtrot, the ballet, and the hula. Based on the clues, match the children with their pigs and their dances. So I read the story for a couple of reasons. First of all, it gets our minds focused on this is what we're doing now. We're not doing math, we're not having free time, we're not goofing off, we're not throwing things across the room, we're not reading a story. We are setting ourselves up to solve a problem. Second of all, I tell the students, sometimes they hide clues in the story. They really don't. But every once in a while, something will sneak in and you're like, ooh, none of the pigs did the same dance or something like that. And so you can sometimes eliminate things that way. Little sneaky trick. And it also gets them to read the story. So then I go through the clues. I read the first clue and then I start to work down here on the grid. And again, they're doing this same thing. If you were a student in my class, you would have a paper with you and I would be telling you, write this down, cross this off, circle this. So, first clue, Gail and Greta did not have Hamlet or Loinzer as pets and did not teach either the polka or the waltz. So I tell the students, whoa, we've got a lot of information in that clue. We need to slow it down. Gail and Greta. So I find Gail, I find her name right here, and I find Greta, she's all the way over here, did not have Hamlet or Loinzer as pets. So go to Gail, cross off Hamlet, cross off Loinzer. Go to Greta, cross off Hamlet, cross off Loinzer. I've already started eliminating some things from the list. And it says, and did not teach either the polka or the waltz. So again, Gail and Greta, polka and waltz, cross it off. Polka and waltz, cross it off. I tell the students, yours should look like mine. And if this is the very first time that we've done this, and if my students have a hard time following directions, this is where I pause and I actually walk around and I check, does theirs match mine? I actually slow it down that much, because otherwise you're not going to, it's the idea of slow down to speed up. You're not going to be able to go full speed ahead later in the year if they don't get this now. Greg's Bubba. Whoa, hold on. Greg's Bubba. We know who has the pig named Bubba. So I go to Greg, I circle Bubba. Now, the nice thing about these perplexors, as soon as we find a solution, even if it's just one kid with one pig, that means that Greg does not have any of these other pigs, and that means that nobody else has a pig named Bubba. So I can cross off Bubba for everybody else. Look at that. We're not even through clue 2 and we already have one solution. So now they're feeling pretty good about themselves. They've got that little dopamine rush in their brain that tells them this is a good thing. We want more of this. So Greg's Bubba did not like her ballet lessons and kept eating her tutu. Well, that tells us what style Greg tried to teach Bubba to dance. Greg tried to teach ballet. So we circle ballet, we cross off all the others, and we cross off ballet for everybody else. So again, I stop and I walk around and I tell students, okay, yours should look like mine. If it doesn't look like mine, you're fixing it right now. This is when it really helps to have the perplexor displayed on the document camera. So now we're on clue 3. Chopley was not Greta's pet. So I go to Greta, cross off Chopley. And Chopley was not taught the hula. Now, I don't know who owns Chopley. I don't know where Chopley goes. I just know it's not Greta. So I can't really answer the second half of that question, but something interesting has happened, and your keen-eyed students are going to notice this, especially once they know to look for it. If you look at Greta, Greta's right here, all of the names have been crossed off except for one. That one that's left is the answer. It seems like a no duh to us with our sophisticated adult brains, but for your students, this is going to be like mind blowing for them, some of them. So we circle porchetta, and anytime we circle something, we have to cross it off everywhere else. And now something else interesting has happened because, see if I can get it without the glare. There we go. So when I crossed porchetta off, if we look at Gale, Gale has only one option left now too. Gale has a pig named Chopley. And didn't we read something about Chopley? Yeah, clue 3, Chopley was not taught the hula. So I go down to Gale, owns Chopley, cross off hula, and what do you know? The only thing that's left is the foxtrot. Now I've circled a couple of things, so I tell the students we got to go back and cross them off. So I cross off Chopley and I cross off foxtrot for everybody else, because what happens then is you can see Greta, we've only got one option left, the hula. So Greta, porchetta, the hula, they all go together. And cross off hula, cross off hula. Now, I don't know if this puzzle's going to do it just because it's the very first one, but later puzzles, sometimes you will get the answer by going across. So just like those grid logic puzzles, each column has only one of each. So like Gale doesn't own Chopley and Hamlet. And then going across, there's only one per row. So Gale owns Chopley, that means no one else owns Chopley. So like if we had crossed off Chopley for everybody and Gale was the only one who had Chopley left, even if, for example, Chopley and Loinzer were left, because the only one available in Gale's row, or that because Chopley was only in Gale's row and was crossed off everywhere else, that's got to be Gale's answer. Okay, so sometimes that's the one that students miss. I don't think this puzzle is going to do it that way, just again because it's the first puzzle, but later ones do. So tell them to be on the lookout for that or model it. All right, so we've gotten through clue 3, and guess what? We only have 2 clues left, but we also only have 2 kids left. So clue 4 says Gordon loved Hamlet. That's pretty straightforward. Hamlet goes with Gordon. We cross off Loinzer. That means we cross off Hamlet for George. George gets Loinzer. And then the last clue is Loinzer's favorite song was the Swill Barrel Polka. And since we know who owns Loinzer, we can circle polka with George, cross off waltz, which means Hamlet goes with the waltz. So this is what our finished product looks like. I do make the kids cross everything off, even if they're like, oh, but I know that Gordon loves Hamlet, which means that he doesn't go with anyone else. But again, crossing off will sometimes help us later down the line. So we need to get in that habit now. I also make them actually turn this in, even or especially if it's the first few that we're doing, because I need to make sure that they're actually doing the right work. And I'll count it for maybe like 10 points. It doesn't swing their grade vastly in either direction. But it sometimes gives them a little boost, and it gives them a reason, especially your older students, like my 8th graders, it gives them a reason to actually do their work. We want it to be hard enough that they have to work for it, but not so hard that they completely give up. This is what you'll want to do with your students. You don't, please don't just toss this at them and say, okay, good luck. That is a quick path to frustration and giving up. So what I start with is I will actually put this under the document camera. I'll project it onto the board and then we'll go through it together. But here's the important thing. Every student has a copy. So as I'm going through this, I'm also walking around, or my co-teacher is walking around, or my para is walking around, making sure that students are doing the same thing. I tell them, if I write something on my paper, you write something on your paper. If I cross something off, you cross something off. But as I'm doing this, I'm speaking what I'm thinking, because what's in here, what lets us sophisticated adults be successful with logic puzzles, is that we do a lot of the invisible work on our own. Our students don't know how to do that. They don't have those skills yet. That's why we're teaching them. But they can't learn if they don't have a model to follow. Or let me rephrase that. They will learn slower if they don't have a model to follow. So if we want them to be successful before they graduate, which we do, it's going to be a lot easier on them if we model for them first. So it depends on how quickly they're picking it up. I would recommend no fewer than 3 together and not all in the same day. If you've got a lower level book, level A or basic level, you can maybe do 2 the first day just to sort of get them accustomed to it. But with later levels, like level B and beyond, I would not push them past 1, maybe 2. You might try, do 1 together, they do 1 on their own. Then the next day you do 1 together, they do 1 on their own. Sure, you're going to go through like 15 billion reams of paper, but like that's also teacher life, right? One other thing that I want to mention when they're working on their own, I like to let them work in groups, because if they get stuck, they are more likely to persist if they are with someone else. And sure, let them pick their friends. Again, it's about how can I get them to build this skill most effectively and efficiently. Are they going to be effective and efficient by themselves? No. Are they going to be effective and efficient if I choose their groups? Maybe. Are they going to be effective and efficient if they can talk to their best friend on this task that must be finished in 15 minutes or less? Ready, set, go. Yes, because they want to talk to their friends. Now, keep in mind, the last class that I taught was 8th grade. And 8th grade is notorious for, if I don't like you, I won't speak. So if you've got a different class, a different composition of students, absolutely feel free to modify this. This is what worked best for me. So that's Perplexors. I'm also going to leave a couple of links in the description. There are math Perplexors too. So again, I taught ELA most recently, but when I taught math at a private school, I used math Perplexors to, again, work on their math skills, but also their critical thinking, deductive reasoning, logic, all of those. So great activity. Really no prep. All you have to do is make some copies. It can get a little bit chaotic if you've got different students working at different levels. I tried to keep the class close to the same level as much as possible, just because otherwise it's like, wait, you need puzzle number 15, but the rest of you are on puzzle 13, and you over there need puzzle 27, and I don't have all those copies, and then it gets a little bit chaotic. So learn from me and make it your own. I hope you felt successful and maybe a little bit intrigued by these Perplexors. If you want more critical thinking activities to do with your students, then check out this other video that I recorded about my 5 favorite teacher-tested critical thinking activities. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. And I hope you have calm transitions and quiet hallways.